Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to today's session. I'm a big fan of Sue's user group. I mean, it's crazy that you can keep this super high level of like a weekly events and with very renowned speakers around. So I really envy. I hope sometime I'll be able to do something similar in Barcelona. I tried this year, but by June, I was pretty much exhausted with this, managing one a month. So we'll see how I can pick it up again. So let me just, oh, there she is. So just join the chat. Well,
there we go.
Want to say something, Sue? Are you tired? Okay. So just, so today I want to talk about C# scripting, but of course, I mean, just scripting out of nothing, it's not really interesting. So we'll try to at least do the first steps on how we would like automate a certain calculation group. Yeah, because calculation groups are pretty abstract, meaning that you might want to use them in different models. But at the same time, they are not exactly the same because you're always doing references to some date table or some fact table or something, which of course will have different names in different models, right? So we need that little piece of automation, say, okay, this is my date table, this is my fact table, boom, please build that calculation group for me, okay? So, and the use case that I'm going to use is the one that I spoke in my blog. It is called comparing arbitrary date ranges in Power BI. Yeah, so we have like couple slicers, and then we can, well, say, okay, let's compare like whatever measure I have, like the value that it would have between these two dates and the other one in these other two dates, and it will tell you how many dates you have in each range, how many Mondays, Tuesdays, and so on. And then, of course, it will make the comparison of the values from the measures and also the percentage of difference and the absolute difference between those. Okay, but before we go in, just so that you know who I am, I'm a data platform MVP since 2022. You can find me also on LinkedIn. Just if you Google my name, you eventually found my profile. And I used to be quite active on Twitter, but these days I just decided that it was too much. So I moved into a Blue Sky thing. Okay, so here I sometimes, if I do like a Power Query function or something that is not too much, not enough for like a blog post, or then I generally just post it here. I don't like LinkedIn for casual posting. It takes too much effort. So you need to save the file and so on. I don't like that. So anyway, so let's have a look first at this calculation group so that we get a feeling of what we're after. Let me close this thing. Okay, I don't know. So here you see I have the Contoso model and I have like certain measures. I put them in a field parameter. And here you see I can select, okay, this is my selection, so to say. I want to select from here to there. And this would be like my comparison. What's my reference? Yeah. So here I can see I'm selecting 111 days in my selection. So maybe I can make this a bit longer. Okay. Oh, no, sorry. No, these are the number of days. Okay. So you see now I have 16 days and 17. Okay, that's pretty close. And if I do like this, okay, I have the same number of days, but I can see here that I have one less Sunday, one less Monday. Well, and here we are comparing the actual measure. So now we're comparing the number of products that have been sold, different products. Yeah, so in total we sold 111 different products, and now is 65 was the reference, so we increased 46%. 46 in absolute and 71% in relative terms. Yeah, but of course I could also change that for customers or even like sales amount or anything I can come up with. Okay. So that, of course, would be pretty terrible if we tried to build that only with measures. Yeah, it would take a lot of effort. So for that, we have a calculation group. Yeah, and let's have a brief look at it. Okay, we'll look at it from the model. So here I'm in the model tab, and I can open the calculation group, and I calculate the calculation items. So here we have the selection. Oh, sorry, let's make it bigger. This one is pretty easy. We just need to get rid of the filter coming from the other one, from the comparison, because of course we have two date tables. We have the date and the date comparison. Yeah, date comparison would be like the reference, the one that we're using for the reference. And the regular date table is the one that will govern the selection, so to say, okay? So basically, of course, we have two filters. We are only interested in using the date one for the selection calculation item. And for the reference would be pretty much the opposite, yeah? But since we want also to build that table comparing how many Mondays and Tuesdays we have, then what we do is we move the values of the day of the week, because the table will be built with the date table, with the regular one. And we're gonna get rid of that. So before we get rid of that, we move it to the date comparison day of the week, okay? So when we get rid of that filter, it's okay, because we already have the day of the week on the date comparison, so we get the values for how many Mondays and Tuesdays and everything we have. Yes, we get that.
Because obviously your Monday date, the previous time period, you'll have another date, but it won't necessarily be a Monday, but possibly a Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, we just want to count. I mean, this was something for like a tourism customers, so that normally that has some impact on if it's a Saturday or not. You get more visits, and so you want to probably compare like pairs with pairs. But sometimes they just want to choose whatever. So once we have these two expressions, then the other two become quite easy, because are basically the same thing, but we just store them in variables. And then we just calculate the absolute difference and the relative difference. Yes, these are the exact same expressions. Yeah. Okay, so far so good. But of course, like Bernat, but I want to create that. But of course, my main date table will be called something else, and the other one, and the day of the week, maybe I'm in a Spanish model, and it's Día de la Semana or whatever. So we need some automation. Okay, so how are we going to do that? I've been presenting that on how to do that with Visual Studio. So the thing is like this. I created a repo that we can use to type in Visual Studio, like with everything we need to write a proper script. So we have all the models from the tabular object model. And so we can say like model dot at calculated column or whatever. But so there's like two possibilities that we can do. If you want to use Tabular Editor 2, then Tabular Editor 2 has some limited libraries, and then we need to do something with Visual Studio. We need to compile the project so that we create a DLL that we can reference, and then we can access all these different DLLs. Because I need these libraries basically to be able to analyze the files in which we'll type the text, the code. So okay, I want to get this this macro back into Tabular Editor. Yeah, but I'm not making this very clear, but let's see what I mean. Yeah,
I understand. So
basically there's like two options. This is the main point. If you want Tabular Editor 2, you'll need to work with Visual Studio. If you're lucky enough to have Tabular Editor 3, then you can just get away with Visual Studio Code. Okay, this is the point I wanted to make. So, but first things first, I'll explain for the first time, because I always explain the Visual Studio approach, but let's try the Visual Studio Code one, and then maybe later we can do the Visual Studio one, which is even easier. So we need to, wait a minute, we need to go, well, here, if you go to my repositories, Bernat Agullo, we have this T scripting in Visual Studio. Yeah, but it is the one that we're going to use for Visual Studio Code as well. So no worries about this. And we need to copy this URL. All right. So now we'll open Visual Studio Code. All right. Good. And well, here I have something open. I'm not sure. We're going to make a folder to put this code. We'll call this demo VS Code. Okay. So now I want to open that folder. Well, I want to.
Hey, Bernat, I've got a quick question. Hello.
Yes.
I always get confused between Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code.
Okay, so Visual Studio is just a code editor, so very lightweight.
Okay.
It's just I don't know. You can imagine that that's very, very lightweight stuff. Yeah, the main limitation I found with Visual Studio Code is that you cannot compile a DLL.
Right. Okay.
You cannot create a DLL. If somebody finds a way, let me know. But other than that, it's quite functional. So it works very nicely to switch files and I don't know, do all sorts of crazy things. So now I'm going to find that folder. Okay, and I want to open that folder. That's it. Okay. So here we should get the option. Okay, clone Git repository. And this is what we want to do. Basically to download all the files that we have in that repo. See if I can get it. Okay, and then provide the URL. Okay, we cannot see it. Okay, that's the one. Or clone from GitHub. I'm not, as you can see, I'm not a real VS Code guy, but no. Okay, let's try again. Clone from GitHub. Now I put the URL. Okay, good. Okay, now I choose a folder to clone. Okay, sorry. So now we found it again. Demo VS Code. I'm sure there's a better way of doing that. Okay, now we can see here it's downloading stuff. I fixed something, so it should work fine. But probably you will have to. Yes, I want to open it now. You will have to fix a little thing because in order to be able to type like a Tabular Editor script, we need to do a couple of references. And one is to the actual Tabular Editor exe file from the Tabular Editor 2 installation and the Tom wrapper DLL. So, and these, of course, will be stored in different folders in each machine. So you will need to go into, you see we have like two main folders, general functions and T scripts. Yeah, we'll write our most of our scripts here in the T scripts. The general functions, we'll see how it's used. It's a way to have reusable parts of code for like small little functions. Yes. So here in T scripts, there's a tscripts.csproj. And here it's looks quite bad, but you will need to look for this. Yeah, Tabular Editor and Tom wrapper 14. Yeah, and here would be like the path of your machine until the Tabular Editor 2 installation. This might be okay. I guess that in most machines this will be the path. But the other one, it's not so easy because we probably will have a different user here. Yeah.
So do you have to do both on the Tabular Editor? Is that for 2 and 3? Then essentially just finding your pathway for.
I mean,
for 3,
it doesn't matter which one you're going to use at the end, but these references need to be always to Tabular Editor 2.
Okay.
Because it's the only one that is open source and you can do pretty much whatever you want with it.
Okay.
With the Tabular Editor 3, maybe there are similar files, but you're not allowed to do this thing.
Do they know you do this?
No, I mean, at some point, I think the guy Daniel at some point said, like, yeah, you sign an AULA or whatever, and so don't do this. Okay.
I love that. You can do what you want with.
Yeah, and open
reverse
source, I mean,
engineer
who
our
cares,
code.
right? Yeah. So yeah, this one is probably changed. If you want to find this path, the easiest way I found is you just go to the Explorer and then you type app data like this with 2%. It will bring you to the roaming one. You don't want the roaming one. You want the local one. And then inside the local, you just need to look for Tabular Editor without the 3. Yeah. Okay. And this is the file, Tom Wrapper 14DLL.
That's really useful as well, because you need to find that. I remember when I first started using it, to find the macros and the best practice, and it doesn't show it you unless you put the little percentage.
Yeah, so that's how you can find this path. Okay, this is a bit easier with Visual Studio, but well, at the end it's pretty much the same thing, saying, hey, this file is here, this file is there. All right, so now, as a matter of fact, we could start already typing a macro here. Yeah, so just copy, like, this is like an example. So you could type like void, doesn't really matter what it means, like void, and then you say here, okay, compare date ranges. This doesn't really matter. It's just to give a space. Yeah, so you open and you close, and then you start typing. Yeah, so here already you have the possibility to write code with IntelliSense, which is already a game changer if you are just using Tabular Editor 2. Or if you're using Tabular Editor 3, you do get some nice IntelliSense, but not as good as you will get here. Yeah, and here also, if you add other libraries, like here you see we have like Visual Basic and stuff, then you will get IntelliSense on those libraries too, which you will not get on Tabular Editor 3 alone. Okay, so let's type a little bit of code so that we get some action, and then we have to do a little more setup to get that script back into Tabular Editor without copying and pasting every single time, which is a pain. Yeah, so basically, let's do it very naively. I mean, there's of course much better ways of doing it, but let's do like the first attempt on how I would go about it, right? So we need to get like we need 2 tables, right? The user should select one of the date tables and then the other date table, and then we can create the calculation group. Yeah, let's start there and see how it goes. So how we do that? So in C# we start with the data type. So we have a table, and then date table 1, and then equals, here there's a function for that. This is select table, which is good. And now here you see we can even like go through the different options that we have, tables, and then select table. Yeah, here we can put some preselection or just nothing at all, and it should also work. So, and we can type just select. Well, we can put also like, if we want to do it nicely, you can say label. But you see, it already helps you a lot. Select date. This is beautiful. Okay, here maybe I should mention that I do have installed the GitHub Copilot extension. Yeah. So if you go into, oops, sorry about that. In the extensions, of course, you will need the .NET. And oh no, and I think I'm using this the C# one. This is the one you will need. And here, of course, if you have GitHub Copilot, this has some cost. Or if you're a MVP, then you get it for free. But it's also one way of having that extra help when typing code. Okay, let me go back. Okay, so this would be my first line. And then, of course, what can happen is that the user cancels, right? So we need to stop execution if the user has canceled, and then say, okay, if date table. But you see, it's very nice that it already suggests like equals null. Yeah, because if you, I don't know, if you know C# from other things, you might type is null. But this will not work. Yeah, actually, I'm a bit surprised that it's allowing this. It should not, because I already set up the version of the project should be 4.8, which is the one that is using Tabular Editor. Yeah, but anyway, if this is null, then you can just return. Or if you want to give like some message, you can also type error and then put like, oh, look at this, no table selected, return. Beautiful. Okay.
So you don't have to put any commas between the things. It just sort of knows that if part of it is that you.
Yeah, well, this is a pattern that might be all over my code, so it just kind of picks it up.
Okay.
But yeah, you can also add some comment, and then it will select secondary date table. And see, yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's exactly what I want.
Was that Copilot's writing that for you?
I think so. Yeah.
It's not that you've done it before and it's remembered it. It's that Copilot's.
Well, I'm not sure how Copilot really brings it up. This came pretty before all the LLM thing, so I'm not sure if it's like picking it up from somewhere or doing both. I guess it gives like some preference maybe to what I have around here. Maybe it's looking at GitHub. Who knows? But anyway, here, so this is so if we reach this point, we'll have two date tables. Of course, we're not completely sure that they selected date tables. We're not also sure if they selected the same table. So as you see that you can, of course, build much more robustness in your code. But if you're going to be the only user of your code, like who cares? You know what you have to do, right? So we reach this point. And then, yeah, let's just create the calculation group and maybe one of the items, and then we'll see how we can bring that back to Tabular Editor. Yeah. So, but to build the calculation group, we will need some things. I mean, but we can find later. It's okay. So first we know calculation group table. Yeah, and then we call that I don't know, compare calculation group equals, and then you see this already pretty good. But actually I think that this is wrong because the second argument I think is not necessary, is it? Calculation. I think it's calculation group alone. And why is this? You see, it has only one. You see, okay, it's complaining because there's no option with the argument, so I'm not sure why it is. And I don't know, we'll compare the ranges. Why not? Okay, so now we have our variable that has this calculation group, and now we need to add the different calculation items, right? Create the calculation items. Okay, so, and indeed, calculation item 1, well, we might want to call it differently. We'll call this like a selection calc item equals. But for the calculation item, we can already provide more information. Let's see if I can bring up the IntelliSense for that. Okay, we have, all right, I'm sure there's a better way to bring this up. Okay, now finally we've managed to find this. So we have the name and the expression, yeah? So these two things, probably it's good to have them as variables before you doing that, yeah? So we can have a string, and then you go like a selection item name equals, we can call this selection. But later, maybe we want to put some function so that the user can provide the name for that. Probably selection is fine though. And then we need the other string, and here's the tricky one. String, which is the selection item expression. Okay. This is completely wrong, of course. So how are we going to do that? Now this is easier than it looks. So basically what we're going to do, first of all, we're going to copy this. Yeah. And now this is what we need to remember is we'll put first an @ mark and then the quotes, because this will take care of some stuff for us and will allow to have like, line changes in between and many things that will make our life easier. But of course, here we see that we have this date comparison and we need to make it dynamic. Yeah, so at first I would like concatenate strings, but then a friend of mine who knows how to write code, hey, Bernat, what are you doing? There's this thing called string format. Okay, and then as a first argument, we'll provide the string we have already. But in this little space that we want to change, we'll put a placeholder. Yeah. And then we'll go at the end, and then we'll provide this, what we want there. So here we want that the date table 2, because it was the secondary one, we want to put the actual name of the table, but we need to take care of the little single quote and so on. Well, luckily for us, there is date table 2. There's a property called DAX object full name. Yeah, this will take care of everything. Okay, and we need to, of course, close.
What's the @ sign doing again? Then on that side of things?
This is like this is to explain that this string that is coming later has some special properties, like it can have line breaks, and also if we had like a double quotes inside the string, when we paste it here, Visual Studio will take care of it and we'll make like double quotes, and it will make it like a working string for us. Okay, because so otherwise you need to take care of many escaping characters, and it's quite a pain to work with regular strings.
Okay, and then obviously that 0 there is sort of acting is essentially a variable.
I mean, it's you need to like 0 means it would be like the first argument after. Okay. If it was a 1, it would be like the second. If it was a 3, and so on.
Okay.
Yeah, so you need to put the placeholder like 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. Okay. So, and we can make this a little bit here. Okay, so now finally we can create our calculation item with this and this. And of course, we want it to look nice. Here we added like a lot of tabs and stuff, so it would probably not look nice. So we'll just go and say selection calc item dot and then format DAX, and that's it. Yeah, this will go to the DAX formatter and make sure that. Okay, you see, we already have some code. Now it's still easy to select it all, but if we have like, I don't know, 100 lines of code, just copying it that every time to bring it back to Tabular Editor becomes quite painful. Yeah. And we'll see later that we can use, like, if we use functions from the general functions, then we would have to go and copy a certain part of that code and paste it at the end. And the whole process takes like already 30 seconds or so, and you don't want to do that every single time. So how can we do that? Okay, here's the interesting part. Since here we're using Visual Studio Code. Remember, Visual Studio Code is like the simple one, but then we need the complex Tabular Editor. We need to go to Tabular Editor 3. Yeah? Okay, so first of all, let's open Tabular Editor 3. And also we'll need to open the one that we don't have that, right? Because in this model, we already have everything. We want to use another one that doesn't have a calculation group and doesn't have, and the date tables are called something else. Yes, so let me open also the Tabular Editor 3, in this case. And now we'll have to wait because this will take some time. But yeah, maybe we can look for the code. And basically, we'll have to copy manually just one, a macro that will be able to come back and copy the code that we want from this file, and then so that we don't have to go back and forth. And this is the one we need. So copy macro from VS file. Okay. This is right now. This is like, say, optimized for the if you're using Tabular Editor 2 and Visual Studio. But in this case, then if you're using Tabular Editor 3, we just need to copy this one. Yeah, so we need to copy the contents, and then there is, you see here, and there's a couple lines that we'll need to uncomment, and then we'll need to copy a couple of paths. Yeah, because of course, remember that this code that we're writing is in an actual file in your computer. So we'll need to provide a path to that file so that from Tabular Editor, we'll be able to go to that file and retrieve the code of the whatever script we want. Yeah.
Wow.
So, and here I see that we're not getting this. Okay, maybe we need to run something in terminal. Okay, if you see these squiggly lines, then we need to terminal. What? Hmm? No, that's not it. I don't. How do you do that? But I used to be able to type here. Why I'm not? Hmm? Oh, okay, I'm here. Sorry about that. I was typing in the wrong. I was like, what is going on? Okay, .NET restore. That's the one I want to type. If I no, sorry about that. You see, I'm typing here. Yeah, .NET restore.
Yeah.
Okay, this should download the dependencies that we have. And then it will download like some DLLs and stuff so that these parts, I mean, this is just so that you don't see the squiggly line. Yeah. Restore. Okay.
Why is the squiggly line there? Is it there because it doesn't recognize it, or it
doesn't recognize it? Yeah.
Or is there a name?
Reference, yeah. Quick fix, let's see. No. That didn't happen to me the other way. Why not?
It's called Demogod.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, VS Code, demo VS Code scripting.
Can you
I was like,
spaces?
wow, why is it working? I was surprised. It was like this.
Can you have spaces in variable names in C#? You know, like you've got syntax tree, space tree. Can you have that as equals?
This one. Yeah, no, because this is the type and this is the variable name.
Oh, okay.
So the syntax tree should be recognized, and I'm not sure why it's not. But it doesn't really matter, to be honest, because in this case, these libraries are in Tabular Editor 3, so we'll be fine. And when we run that in Visual Studio, then when we build the project, it does download them. So I'm not sure how it's supposed to happen this. I saw it happening, so I'm not sure what is the wrong thing here. But here, okay, we'll have to get some patience, and we scroll down. Oh, well, there's a better way of doing that, sorry. So here, to copy this macro, we can just like collapse it, and then just if we do like this, then we can copy the whole thing. Okay, we're in Visual Studio already, and we open a C# script tab. And now I'm going to paste the whole thing, but of course, I'm going to get rid of the last key and this thing as well. Okay, now I'm going to put this to the back. Okay, this is too small. Let me make bigger. Okay, using an R, so of course, we need to uncomment this. So we'll do that with, where is it? Here. Yeah, this button, I can say, okay, this is code I want to use. And as I was mentioning, we have to use this other one, using TD3 without creating a DLL file. Okay, so we need to uncomment these two. And now we need to provide these two paths. Okay, these two paths, we can get them from VS Code. So here in tscripts, we hit the scripts.cs, we right click here and we say copy path. Okay, so we go back and we leave the double quotes where they are and we paste it. Okay, beautiful. This the script that T scripts is would be like the macro file, yeah. And the custom class file path is the other one. Sorry about the naming. I don't know. I changed my opinion at some point. Okay, so now right click, copy path, and now we'll paste it here. All right. So now that we have this, we are going to. We could already run this, but it's even better if we save it as a macro. So we can reuse it over and over again. And we'll call this like get macro. We'll put Sue here so that we know this is exactly the one. Okay. So now, even if I close this one and I go to the model, as I go to macros, because the macro Sue, and boom, I have my beautiful list that say, what do you want to copy? Say, Bernat, you created something that is not here, and that is correct. What happened? I didn't save the file. That's what happened. Okay, so you see here in the T scripts, all this has not been saved yet. So in the file is nothing. So we're going to save this, and we're going to do this again. So we go to macros, and now we have compared the date ranges. Okay, so if I have my tab and I paste, I have that little piece of code with nothing else. Yeah, and this could be 200 lines of code. Doesn't matter. So I can just paste and execute. This, you might not be fully aware of it, but this was complete game changer for me.
Yeah.
First it was typing and like, failing and so on. Then it was typing there and copying every time. And finally, this was possible. And I was like, oh my God, finally. So let's see if it works though, yeah? Because here, wait, where am I connected? No, I should connect to the other one. Sorry about that. Let's do that again. I want to connect to the local instance to this one. Okay. Okay. So you see now I have it's not date and date comparison, it's calendar and calendar comparison. You see? So I cannot copy and paste my calculation group. So let's see what happens if I execute this. Okay, and then it tells calendar and then calendar comparison. And boom, I have here something new. I have my compare the ranges. Oh, I see the calculation group. We should change the column name. And we have a calculation item. Let's have a look. Yeah, and it's using the calendar comparison. You see that? So it works.
Wow.
Yeah. So of course we can keep going, and then it gets very addictive. So you can always improve your code. And
just remind me, when did you start teaching yourself C#?
Well, not. I mean, right after Johnny Winter wrote that one, the dynamic measure calculation group, and then I typed one, but that was super terrible. The one on the time intelligence. But that was like really going to Stack Overflow, going to Daniel, going back. What is going on?
Yeah.
And it took forever, but I had like this
Perseverance.
sheer will. Yeah. And then I decided I wanted to have like some repository of functions, and then this friend, and then Daniel said, well, you should look into DLLs, and then a friend of mine told me how to do that. And in the process, I said like, wait a minute, because this was happening in Visual Studio, and I said, hey, I have IntelliSense here. Can I type here? It's like, yeah, you can. And then it was like already very happy, just like copying and pasting code was already much, much better. That's how I could write that script that will check the referential integrity of your model, because finally I could write code like what happens if I iterate the relationship of the model and so on. And then at some point I managed to create that script to copy back. And I was like, okay, I think my job is done here. So because now pretty much the sky is the limit, I think it's quite convenient to write code now. But Well, let's do maybe quickly how would that work with, because people say, hi, I don't have Tabular Editor 3. How can this work with Tabular Editor 2 and the other one? Because, I mean, we could just keep going, but here the core is like, here you see we could type code with IntelliSense. Oh, maybe there's one little thing. And projects, because here, yeah, we said, okay, select tables, like any tables. But that's not super cool, because we need them to be date tables. Now, if you start looking around in the other file, in the general functions, CS file, you see how I have this class called fx, and here inside there's like some method that we can really use from there. And there is something really cool, which is called get date tables, and it will return a collection of all the date tables it found in the model. So let's give it a try. So if I go back, sorry, no, here, that's the one. So because here in the select table, you can also provide a collection of tables, and then it will kind of filter that. So enumerable table, but we'll call this date tables. And then here to use that, you need to type fx dot and then get date tables. Yeah, you don't need anything, or do you? Wait a minute. Yeah, I think maybe you do. Let me go back to general functions. Yeah, that's the thing. In Tabular Editor 3, you could do that, and it would work. But in Tabular Editor 2, when you are inside this custom class, it does not really know what the model is anymore. So you need to provide it as an argument every time so that you can do stuff with the model inside it. Yeah, so well. And then we'll pass the model. Yeah, okay. And then we can provide this as the first argument to the select table. You see here, there is one. You see enumerable table too? Okay. So we can do that. Oh, wait, what's the name of the argument? It's tables. Okay, let's do that. Tables, and then we can provide the date tables. It's just so you see the true power of this copy paste thing, yeah. Because right now it was not that impressive, but okay, when we do this, then we need to add a little thing here for the code to be fully working when we paste it. We need to add this, yeah, using general functions. That's the only, as a comment, yeah. And the copy paste will take care of it when pasting. So I'm gonna save this so that I could Control S, so I saved. So let's try again. So I go to the model, I go to macros, copy to, date ranges, script, and then I delete this, I paste the new one, and say, whoa, what happened here? You see? So it pasted my code, but then after that, it added all this custom class FX. And even in that custom class, there's more stuff, but it's only useful so that it's easy to code. So it gets rid of that. And actually, you see in the class, we added the reference to some classes, and it will add them here at the top. And if we had like some classes in our script, it would like combine them. It's like, oh, do you have that one? No, okay, I'll add it. And so it does a lot of things in that sense. So let's see if it works though. If I execute this, you see I only get the date tables now. Isn't that beautiful? And of course, now it will create another calculation group because I didn't control for anything, but it still works perfectly.
Okay. So the date tables, was that based on you marking things as a date table?
I mean, no, the regular
is that
marking
the property,
of date table. It's just when you go to Power BI and say, okay, mark table as date table.
Yeah.
It does a couple of things. Yeah. So here we can see, you see the table data category equals time, and there is a column that is key, and at the same time, it has a data type of date time.
Right.
So basically, you identify these things, and then it runs these link expressions, which are so cool. So you can like really like filter your model for certain properties and stuff. And that's how I managed to do that.
Okay, right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So this is so with this and the general functions, then really you can do a lot. If there are questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'll just quickly show how the setup would work with Visual Studio and Tabular Editor too.
Just a quick one. Classes are the same as libraries in Python. Am I right in thinking that? So a class, when something is a class, it then
That's
defines
a good question. This is a tricky question for me. Yeah, but maybe a library is when it's a DLL file. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But yeah, it's pretty close. This is terrible. Okay, so here also I open. You need to install the .NET module when the installation, like, and here in clone repository, you start and say, okay, clone repository. Hello. Okay. Now we would paste. No, we would paste. Let's see if I have it here somewhere. Where is it? Okay, I copy pasted a lot of things.
I love Windows V. Windows V.
Oh yes,
about this
so nice.
On Pivot. Christian Angel showed me a few months back, and I hadn't started using it until he showed me, and I was like, "Oh, game changer!"
Yes, I heard that on the podcast the other day, and I've also started using it as well.
Yeah, I know. It just makes such a difference. It's just brilliant.
Okay, so I'll just do it in another one, just in case. Okay. And then I say clone. So it's pretty much the same thing. But the setup, the final setup is a bit different. I have to say I like a bit better here, but this is just a matter of taste. And let's see. So
that's because you're becoming a hardcore programmer now, Bernat. So
no, I'm not.
You're moving to the big boys' toys.
No.
Big people's tools.
This is actually easier, you know. That the big boys go with Visual Studio Code, I would say. Anyway, so here in references is where you will find most likely this tool with like a red, no, with an orange triangle or something saying, oh, this is something is not right here. Yeah, so you can go ahead and remove them and then add them again. Yeah, go to add reference, and basically here you would go into browse. So you have this whole thing and you go browse, and you would look for the two files we mentioned. Yeah, so one would be in the program files, Tabular Editor, and you look for the application one. And the other one is, remember, like app data, go one level up, go into local, Tabular Editor, Tom Wrapper, DLL. Yeah, this is the two files.
Okay.
And then once you have done this, and this is the extra part, you have to, well, maybe you can do it at the project level, but it doesn't matter. You just go to the solution and click build solution. Yeah, and this will start downloading stuff. Yeah. So you will see that. You see now we have like extra stuff. Okay. And now what we'll do is, wait, sorry. No, not this one. So now inside the T scripts, now we'll use the other one, the small one, not the big one, but this little one. Yeah. So here we need to modify, we need those two files. Of course, they're a bit different now because we're a different folder, but basically I'll copy the full path and paste it here. Okay, and then the other one as well, full path. But there is one more file that we need to get the path from, and that is the tscripts DLL. Okay, where is this file? So here, and we go to TS scripts, and we right-click here. We can open the file explorer. We open it there, and then we have, this is just like it is, yeah? So we just go into bin, debug, and then finally we find a lot of DLLs, including the TS scripts DLL. Yeah, so bin debug, yeah? And then you can shift right-click on it to get all the extra options. Or I think these days you can like right-click and say, just show me everything. There's different ways.
How long does it take you to find all these?
Well, a lot. Yeah. Copy as path. Yeah, and then finally you can paste it here.
Yeah, and be careful.
And I think this time it comes with double quotes, so you need to delete those double quotes. And this is the macro that we need to copy into Tabular Editor 2. Okay, so we copy this part. This is only once. Okay, so it doesn't matter which way. I go to Tabular Editor. All right.
You seriously went down a rabbit hole.
Oh yeah, all the way. But eventually I found the light.
That's how I met Bernat the first time, wasn't it? I was going down a rabbit hole, and I reached out to him, and I reached out in the community, and then he came and joined me in the rabbit hole, and we went deeper and deeper.
That was in a calculation group thing. Yeah, it took me a while. Yeah.
It's more like not even rabbit hole, more like the core of the earth.
Yeah, we did. Here. We just kept going. But can we do this and can we do that?
Yeah. And then, okay, here's the same thing. We need to save stuff. Okay. But anyway, so I'm going here. I had to uncomment the R and using, yeah, because these are lines that we need in Tabular Editor, but we definitely don't need in Visual Studio because it will throw like those ugly red squiggly lines. So that's why I comment them in Tabular Editor. And here I have to, first time I need to uncomment them manually, and then later copy paste will take care of it. So now if I execute this, I get the list to choose the script I want. Yeah. So of course I didn't create anything yet here, but if I had something like the one we just created, where it is
looks so much nicer, doesn't it, in there?
Oh yeah.
Really easier to read.
And the nice thing is that you will have all your scripts together. So it's like, oh, how did I do that? So just scroll a little bit and you will find it there, and just complete game changer. So let me go here. It's the same thing, yeah? So we have the exact same file and we would start exactly the same way, yeah? I'm just gonna paste what we had. So if let's assume I created this here. And of course I need to store this as a macro as well. Copy macro to. Okay, and here, of course, we need to select something. I just selected model, so it's always visible. And I can go to the model and then macros, and boom, there it is. Yeah, so when I select here, I have with the extra class and everything. Yeah, so this is really, I mean, it's easier to create scripts with this than without this. Yeah. Of course, there is this setup. So if you just want to modify like one comma from a script you found online, just go ahead and do it. But it's like, oh, I need something that is not there. Yeah, I would definitely advise to do this. And contact me because I'm very interested in what you're about to do, and I might be able to help you out. Yeah. So that's how you do it.
Wow.
And so I expect you to do this. Yeah.
You expect me to do this?
Yeah.
Well, I am. I'm meeting with Matthias Tierbach. You know Matthias? We're going to be doing 15-minute sessions once a week where he teaches me cool programming stuff so that I can understand more. Yeah, we're going to stream it, Bernat.
Wow.
Not that you need it. So lunch and learn with Matthias and Sue, because once you do this, then. But it's just getting your head around how to do it. It's something else, isn't it, to do, to learn? But that's just so cool.
And it's also good to take little bite-sized chunks and don't try and do loads of stuff.
Yeah. The script should be like we did, like start easy, and then you can tune it up a bit.
Yeah.
And you can explore what you have in the general functions, because they have really cool stuff like get name from user. It will, like, you can even bring a default name for something that you're about to create, but you're showing to the user, so he or she may change it. So the final calculation group may get a different name. I also would advise on not overdoing it, because if you ask like 10 questions, it's like, this is not the macro anymore. But it would be easier, like, just to change the code a little bit. Most of the times people don't want to change it anyway, but it's nice to give the option.
It's just even nice. I think David was showing me how you can write a C# script to make, just even to make the little boxes pull out of Tabular Editor to show that.
And here you see, if you have a list of strings, that's what I'm using for like the list of, macros, to which one you want to copy. This is also like, you just provide a list and it will show it to you, and it will return whatever you selected. So all these things are already done for you. So and this is also very, very nice, because sometimes we create a macro that the first time you ask them, like, where's the date table, where's your fact table, and so on. But they might want to run it again because with another measure or whatever. There is like many use cases, but you really want to avoid asking the same question over and over again, right? So basically here you can create annotations in tables, and then you can get this function like get tables with annotation. So you say, okay, there's this annotation label and this annotation value, and boom, it will bring all the tables that match this, which should probably be 1 most of the times. So you can just go on with that. If you found the table, then no need to ask anything.
It was nice. They showed in LinkedIn. I can't remember if it was Morton who published today. How to use table.groups to group the tables depending whether it's a dimension or a fact, or whether it's a calculation group. And they put the C# script in it using exactly that type of logic. If it's got a relationship and
oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it was nice.
Huh. Yeah, that's definitely a nice use case. Yeah, you see here, I mean, it looks easy, but so to make it look easy, here you see that there's like some extra code, because for example, you would have to write the script helper inside Visual Studio. You would have to use this prefix, but then when you copy it, it will give you an error in Tabular Editor. So in order to get around this problem, I create a function with that same name, so that you can use the name that you will use in Tabular Editor, but of course it will work. So there is a lot of things like this. Also in TScripts, in order to use the model and select, for example, or select it, there is also some extra code here underneath. So there's a lot of fine tuning that I've been doing so that it's easy to use. You see here, you're using this.
Have you, because I know it's one of the things you want, Anthony, was instead of being able to store the macros on your local machine, whether you can save it in the cloud and then you can refer to it wherever you are. And I remember David saying there was a way to do that. I can't remember how he said.
I can't remember either, but because I wanted to save it onto GitHub, and then I could use the GitHub as the repository for it.
Exactly. You need to synchronize. I mean, there is, right now, there's only really one good way of doing it, which is if you go to that app data thing. App data. So all the macros are stored in a single file. Which is tabular. Where is it? Oh, no, sorry. Local, then Tabular Editor.
It took me ages to work that out.
This is the file, macro action JSON. So in this file, it's like it has the scripts, but of course a macro is not just the script. Because it has the name and also is enabled. It might have a description on the valid context. So it's not super easy to have your repo with the scripts and then bring them as macros, because so probably you need to first store them as macros somewhere and then synchronize that. But but that doesn't make it easy to update each of them, right?
But you can't change that path anywhere in Tabular Editor to move that macros JSON somewhere else.
No. You need to find a way to synchronize them there.
Yeah. I'm sure they're working on it.
But yeah.
It seems really the logical thing that you using it for. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there is this guy who just like this week, was like modifying that this file, the macro actions, the JSON file, and it would like append all the macros that he has to the ones that you already have. Would be also a way of updating that.
Yeah.
And so you could have a macro and go to GitHub, get that file, and you override this file on the computer. But yeah, the only limitation or so that you have to close and open again Tabular Editor. If it's Tabular Editor 2, it's pretty fast.
Okay.
3 takes a bit longer, not as long as it used to, but still.
Well, I suppose if that's one sort of little downside of having a central place for all your files, instead of having to jump, especially if you've got Tabular Editor on a personal machine and Tabular Editor on a work machine, then at least it's there is
totally. I would really look forward to have the same set of macros and in the same order in more than one machine, because then you can have like shortcuts to execute macros in Tabular Editor 3 at least.
Yeah.
And that means that you could, in theory, also execute your macros through like a Steam Deck thing.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure if it's really useful, but it's so cool that would be worth trying.
Oh, brilliant.
That's amazing. I think, the only question Christy asked was, is Visual Studio a licensed program?
Okay, so I didn't mention that. In Visual Studio, there is a community version that you can use if and only if you're working on open source projects or for learning purposes. But if you're going to share the scripts, I would argue that it's an open source project, isn't it?
Yeah, if you get sharing. Yeah,
just share your scripts and you.
It's quite big though, isn't it, to download?
Oh yeah. Don't do that on a notebook or
I just think from my experience when I downloaded Visual Studio and then I had a major issue. I was trying to do something and it wouldn't let me carry on until I got a license for it, and I was just like, oh, forget it. I'll move on to VS Code. I'll use that, and I'll deal with a few limitations that I've got to deal with side of things. So,
well, I'm loving your outfit you've dressed up especially for us, Bernat.
Yeah. This is a calculation item.
Yeah,
icon. There's only one shirt like this in the world. Yeah,
and silk.
I know of.
Silky too. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, lovely people. I am going to let you go and say thank you so much, Bernat. I raced back, and like Aurora said, a really interesting session. I raced back so that I could see your session.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
And I appreciate
thanks very much
running it. And next week we've got Christian and Bogdan showing us how to power up your data, synergizing Power BI and Power Apps, which is always brilliant. But that was brilliant, and all of your code is in your GitHub, isn't it? So we can add it.
This one, the BS code. Maybe I should send that one.
Curtis, I agree. Lots more to learn. Lots more to learn.
That's the one. Let's just paste this one. This is the only one you really need.